Shamalama ding dong, baby. Shamalama. Shamalama lama 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 lama. Good morning. Good morning, all. Quiet, please. Everyone sit down. Quiet, please. You in the back? The kitchen is closed. Actually, you can do whatever you want. It's the beauty of this format is that you can be like clanging pots in the background. It won't matter. It'll be fine. Oh, some of you are naked right now. I didn't need to see that. Actually, some of you are naked right now. I didn't need to see that. That's probably a better way to say it. Yesterday, I'm not muted. Yesterday was a very busy day. Did 3 live interviews in one day. That's almost a record for me. I've done 3 before, but anyway, looking forward to sharing that with you. Today is AMA Day, even though I have The Art of White Male as the title. I want to talk a little bit about white male. James, you're so racist. Why do you have to call it white male? Is it because we have something called blackmail? And no one talks about the opposite. It's like bunking. It's like debunking things. We walk around debunking things, which is hilarious because we're pretending the entire time that someone actually bunked them. That someone actually spent the time to go, hey, is what the media actually right? We don't ever talk about where they actually write. We only discuss if later on we can prove that they were wrong. That's it. And only if someone else proves it. It's never us. We're not allowed to do that. You're not a professional journalist. You're not allowed to be saying that. And what is a professional journalist? Guys, a professional journalist is someone who's paid money to write words in a certain order that please the person that paid you money to write them. Do you understand? Let's go over it again, real slow from the top. A journalist. A journalist is someone who's paid a certain amount of money for the purpose of writing words down in a certain order that please the person that paid him to write it down. Does anyone see a problem with this definition? Do you? It's weird how the professional, they're professionals. They're the professionals. So clearly you don't know what you're doing. You there who's motivated to do something without pay, you are suspect in my eyes. Because you're not just, you're not writing words down to please some dude that's paying you. How could I trust you if you're the kind of person that wouldn't sit around and write down words that please someone who paid you to write them? What do you think? Think I'm a fool that I would just go around listening? What are you running on convictions now? Is that what you're doing, James? You're a convictional writer? What the fuck is that? No, I want a professional writer. I want someone that's paid to put words down in a certain order that please the person that's paying them. Is that so hard to ask? Isn't it fascinating that we walk around like that's normal? It's just like, oh, totally. Well, you know how it works. Well, no, tell me how it works. Well, we all get our information from people that have been paid to write down words that have pleased the person that pays them to write them down. That's why. Oh. Here I was worried we weren't doing science. Oh, of course we are. You kidding? Do you know how much science we're doing? No, tell me how much science we're doing. Everyone in this room is being paid. That's how scientific we are. So we're measuring how scientific this place is by the fact that everyone is being paid? No, they're not just getting paid. They're getting paid to write down words after playing with science that makes us happy. Who would question that? That old kook over there that's following science because he has a conviction and he's just motivated by it? You can't trust that guy. What do you think this is? Independent organic research? What are you, freaking nuts? No, we can't do that. We can't do that. This is going to be a tricky episode for some of you. In fact, I've already told one of you to go. I'm just saying, look, you don't need to be watching this episode. You don't. I'm going to try and do it quick because I already have enough enemies. I don't mind making more, but it's just, fuck. It's been a week. It has been a week of enemies. And so I just not in the mood to make a lot more here. But I do at least want to go over these terms, whitemail and blackmail. I at least want to define what I mean by this. So blackmail is a threat to release something that will hurt your reputation, right? I will blackmail you. I'll release this email that you wrote, James, or this voicemail that you left, or someone recorded your Zoom call and you thought it was private, and I'm going to release that now, right? That's blackmail. It's threatening someone with information that would make them look bad, right? But have you considered whitemail? What is whitemail? Is that like a Ku Klux Klan armor plating? Like a chain mail for the KKK? Is that what whitemail is? Could be. Or is whitemail the opposite of blackmail? Think about it. Whitemail is a threat to release something that helps someone's reputation. And you might be saying, well, James, how would that be a threat if someone was threatening to release good information about you? And I'm saying, I didn't say that threat was put on the person that's being whitemailed. right? That threat could be to anyone. The threat could be to anyone. One of those things could be the Democratic Party. One of those things could be the American thinking public. Another of those things could be Saudi Arabia. It's all kinds of different things. Now, I am here to tell you that all of mainstream media has been whitemailing Julian Assange since day one. Whitemailing him. And even the stories where they say that he was guilty of, or accusing him of the sexual assault, you will notice that the stories were always followed up with more retractions, with more, oh, it turns out that wasn't true. Oh, it turns out this country is trying to frame him as this. And all of you know this about Assange. All of you know the name Assange. And the reason why all of you know the name Assange is not because he is a truther. It is not because he has fought hard on the underground to release underground truth. That's not why you know his name. You know his name because the media told you his name. And I mean the big media, not the small media. The big media. What is big media? It is a place where they have a lot of money to pay people to put down words on paper or on a computer that make them feel good. That's what big media is. And this guy, you know his name because of it. You know his name because of it. This guy has been in every single headline. He's the longest running storyline. And anytime it gets stale, anytime it gets boring, something salacious is thrown in, whether it be smearing poop on the walls of an embassy, whether it be rescuing a kitten, whether it be a sordid romance with Pamela Anderson Lee, whether it be the suffering, whether it be the torture, whether it be the mental anguish, whether it be the mental instability. Every bit of that has been brought to you by media. They made sure that you knew that. They needed you to know that. You had to know that. Why? Because they were whitemailing him. They were whitemailing him. And they whitemailed him so much that many of you are not able to watch this stream. Or worse, you're watching this stream and you're going to torture yourself because I'm destroying a hero. And you needed that hero because it was the only one that you've ever been presented by mainstream media that stood for truth. It's the only one. And what am I doing? I'm urinating on it. I'm telling you that the bronze molecules of this statue of Julian Assange are racist. I'm defiling the image of that in the light of day. I am one of the people, one of many, who would be the real life version of Julian Assange. I'm not trying to show off. I'm only one of many. I have been thrown off this platform 7 out of 12 times. Been demonetized. I've had people in my own community call out and say, this guy's a Luciferian, or this guy's satanic, or James is a liar and he doesn't know shit, or we can't have this guy at Flattoberfest, he's a fucking nightmare. That's what it feels to be a truther. It does not ever come with Pamela Anderson, or kittens, or, sorry, I don't have the right side there, or anything else. It doesn't come with a free room in an embassy. It doesn't even come with a free room in an embassy. It doesn't come with this protective reality bubble inside the most evil city in the world, London. No offense, Londoners. It doesn't protect you from the world's most sophisticated, evil, maniacal, black ops teams that have ever existed. And you've been told that a pane of glass on an imaginary property line of an embassy has kept this man alive. And it's full of shit. The story is full of shit. Yes, James is dark. James is so dark. He's going after Assange, and Assange Dude's got like blonde hair. Dude's got like really bright blonde hair. And James is going after him. This is not cool, man. Why are you doing this, James? Why are you doing this? Are you jealous, James, because he's not a professional journalist like him? All those things. Keep looking. Keep speculating that all those things are it. Please. This is how you find truth. And this is how your neighbors notice that you're not actually into truth. You're into feeling better. So am I. All of us are. And this is why. I'm constantly annoyed that people are distracted by false conspiracies such as 9/11. That's not Assange's voice. That is the actor, Sean Bean, playing the part of Julian Assange in the CBS mini-movie, Wiki Kitten. The story of a kitten, a sex kitten, and Julian Assange. And right now, as we're talking, let me find the picture. Hang on. Right now, as we're talking, this dude has gotten up in the morning, walking through his $1 million house, which I'm happy for him. I fucking A, man. Way to go. And, some good stuff out there. And right now, this guy is waking up going, I am Benedict. He probably doesn't announce his name. He probably knows his name by now. But he's walking around in the morning in his really, really nice house because he's successful is what he does. And I don't shame him for that at all. And he's saying, I'm going to get into the role of Julian Assange. And he's trying to put his body, right? He's working. Benedict Cumberbatch is working on his role as Julian Assange. He's had his hair dyed bleach white now for months. And he has been asking for people to help him find this role by persecuting him. And he's been immersing himself in this role is what I'm trying to say. He's been preparing himself for it. And the reason why is because the media is whitemailing him. The media has to whitemail Assange. And Benedict Cumberbatch will probably never even consider whether or not 9/11 was an inside job. Never even have to consider it. Do you know why? Because it's not in the script. It's not in the script. That's why. I'm looking for this. Sorry. This one ready. There we go. There it is. There you go. Here's what he looks like right now. About to show you. Boom. Look at how Benedict is holding his lips in his mouth now. You can tell. Look at the difference. He's doing that. He's purposely holding his lip different. That's how he gets into character. He doesn't get into character by looking at the world. I'm not slamming Benedict Cumberbatch, but he's not getting into character by that. He's getting into character because he's following the script. He's tell me what this man is, and he's been told. And what does he do? He tries to look like him. So he goes, I'm going to hold my lip like this. You see that? I can't even do it. That's how good of an actor he is. Right? Am I doing it? It's I'm trying to look like I prefer a bidet. That's what he told himself. He's in order to capture the spirit of Julian Assange, I'm going to use a bidet every day for 8 months straight. It was an intensive role where I really got into the idea of a bidet. It was fascinating. And it allowed me to really sink into this character of Julian Assange. And I feel like I know him now more than anyone has ever known him before. And what does Benedict know? I know Julian Assange, is a man of fierce determination. And I felt that when I sat down at the bidet. Sometimes I would have to only pee, but I would say, no, I will sit down and I will pee so I can run the bidet on my ball sack like Julian Assange. And I will use a kitten to dry my balls as I'm stuck inside the embassy. And this has every element. Every element of keeping your interest. From the very, very first thing that you heard, which was that he's been brought up on sexual assault charges, and they're completely not true. From the sexual assault to the smearing poopy on the walls, to the Pamela Anderson, to the kitten, to the I have a USB thumb drive. Do you remember that? I have a USB thumb drive. And if anything happens to me, I will release the MacGuffin. I mean the thumb drive. And this MacGuffin, the thumb drive, when it is seen, will completely change the world. Completely. And for those of you maybe who are new to my work or maybe didn't see this episode, a MacGuffin is this prop. It's a physical prop used to cement a scene, used to allow the realism to set in, even though everyone in the room knows it's not real. But just the word itself has this kind of connotation to it that makes you think, oh, well, look, there's the Maltese Falcon right there. It's right there. So of course it's important. Of course it's real. There's clearly a USB thumb drive, right? This is a MacGuffin, right? The ring, the Maltese Falcon, the golden idol head. Most caper movies, most suspense movies have a MacGuffin. Most of them do. And that plot allows to give the give the storyline some teeth, right? It's an important element. And Julian Assange, who founded Wikileaks, didn't have a Wi-Fi signal in London. He didn't have one in London. There was nowhere in London where he could get a Wi-Fi signal. He had to come out on the porch and say, I've got this USB drive. It's not this one because I know you would shoot me and take it. It's actually inside. I've placed it inside my kitty's dry cat food. It's just underneath, just like in a movie. You'd see it if you understood. And it's a secret reminder after my death that I just want you to feed my cat, really. And it's this beautifully, wretchedly gripping story that keeps you on edge. Right up to the very end. And a man is pulled from a home for espionage charges. Espionage. The worst crime a state can claim. And they handcuff the suspect, and somehow, some way, they don't put his hands behind his back, A, and B, he's allowed to hold a book the entire time. And it's no different than what just happened in Idaho, right? When we looked at the... well, check out the road stream, you'll see. It's theater. It's important theater. And I don't need you to think that the book is Gore Vidal's book. United States of Amnesia. That's not the title, but the basic theme of Vidal's book is that America keeps forgetting what it does. And it's a great book. It's perfect. I'm glad people are seeing it. I'm glad. But guys, we are adults. Many of us. And adults don't like baby stories, do we? We don't. It's not that we dislike even Assange. What we dislike is that this is being pretended to be something. That all of this is being showcased in some way. And it's just simply not true. And every picture is convenient. And no matter what happens, there's always this brilliant ability for the media to still get their shots in. It's never boring. Never boring. And the whole thing started with Chelsea Manning. The whole thing started the day that Assange was arrested. This day was the same day, actually, it wasn't this day, was the same day that Chelsea Manning was released. How are these related? Because Chelsea Manning was one of the Wikileakers. Well, James, they're leaking, so clearly they're good, right? Leaking good. Leaking is good. And I'm not here to tell you leaking's bad. I'm here to tell you that you don't understand how, or that you may not understand how whitemail works. I'm here to tell you that there is a profoundly easy narrative system that's in place that's allowed to run and penetrate your neighbors' minds all the time, no matter what. And it's gorgeous. Every frame, every piece, every part of it is gorgeous. This is not how the world works. You're looking at Assange surrounded with media on top of balconies, actually outside the embassy. But this counts as inside the embassy. And anyone that's about to, in a podesta, that's like, oh my God, you're about to release the emails where I ate a child in a soup and we might have to kill you, but oh, dastardly, I can't get past the county line. Guys, this is what the stories of the Dukes of Hazzard is, where you're like driving as fast as you can because you know if you get across the county line, the cop has to stop. Like the cop has to stop at this invisible Mason-Dixon line and say, you Duke boys, Q, 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 I'm going to get you. That's the charm of the media. And the charm will always have hair that's perfect. Werewolves in London. His hair was perfect. And the assault and the persecution of Assange is actually all part of the whitemail. It's all part of the campaign to make sure you know that. And people under the cover of masks are insisting that it's the truth. And who am I to tell them it's not? I think it is the truth. We've been constructing a different theory of truth here. I think that it's necessary because it moves people that need to be moved from one place to another, even if it means they believe Assange for a while, even if it means they believe QAnon for a while, even if it means they believe that Bradley Manning was a completely organic event for a while. The guy was on Vogue magazine. This is a saturation. And it doesn't matter if it's ridicule or props. It doesn't matter. It's saturation. And you've been saturated with it, which is why you know his name. And at no point in time does anyone show you this quote. At no point in time is this even brought up. It's not even brought up. Speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, Season 1, Episode 13. They stage a fake pandemic to rob the bank. Roscoe gets trapped in the jail cell office. Boss Hogg gets trapped in the jail. Bo and Luke Duke have to escape from the jail, but they can't because the doctor, Doc Petticoat, puts them, I'm not actually making any of this up. Doc Petticoat puts them in quarantine, which stops the Duke boys and Uncle Jesse from stopping the bank robbers. And the bank robbers had Uncle Jesse's mortgage payment that was due at midnight. That night. And the quarantine stopped them. And Jesse knew he's going to lose his farm because the quarantine wasn't going to let him out of jail. And if it was not for the cunningness of Daisy Duke and Cooter working in cahoots behind the scenes, that only then was Bo and Luke and Jesse able to figure out that the man was faking the pandemic the whole time. And this pandemic was being infiltrated in order to rob a bank and remove the liberty of Jesse, a.k.a. the mortgage to his farm. Season 1, Episode 13. This is what we're dealing with. that people will watch this play out on a sitcom and still have no fucking clue that it could happen. And it's aperture science, isn't it? It's the science of aperture. It's the science of comfort. Double Sting says the name of the episode was Double Sting. Thank you, Tides of Truth. That sounds right. Featured guest appearances from the man off of Every Which Way But Loose. Not one of the dudes off Every Which Way But Loose. Not Philo Beto. But one of the guys from there is in that episode. He's the one faking the pandemic. The entire thing laid out for you on an episode of Dukes of Hazzard. And it took 50 minutes, right? Probably 38 with commercials. And we get this. I'm constantly annoyed that people are distracted by false conspiracies such as 9/11. One of you said this morning, well, if you'd finish the quote, I'm sorry, you didn't say it that way. I'm putting that tone of voice on you. She's like, if you finish the quote, and I'm like, no matter if you finish the quote, which doesn't finish that great, by the way, it frickin' finishes simply by saying, when the entire time mass atrocities are all over the world, the quote still means that the false conspiracy, such as 9/11, has no bearing anymore. That's what Julian Assange said. Stop calling him a hero. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. And I really do mean I want people to accept Assange. I want people to buy into that and to go, wow, maybe the government's lying to me. But that is third grade kindergarten crayon class. And I want people to learn their kindergarten. I'm not here to say everything you learned in kindergarten was a lie. No, you learned some good shit in there. You learned how to squiggle, learned how to draw lines. You probably learned the difference between cursive and regular writing, right? Some of you probably are sending your kids to public school. You don't know what they're learning there, but hey, we're doing the best we can. All these are levels, hermetic steps that we take, right? Dukes of Hazzard is a hermetic step into the truth movement. And you missed it because Season 1, Episode 13, showed you Agenda 21 right there. Right there. But James, he gave us so much. WikiLeaks gave us so much. Well, what did WikiLeaks give us? Because I found 7 things. I'm sure it's more. But here are what I think people, the majority of people would consider the most significant things that Julian Assange gave. Manual for Guantanamo Bay prison camp. This is what put him on the map. WikiLeaks was put on the map November 2007. Why? They published a manual, an army manual. They published an army manual. Your taxpayers make army manuals. Do you know who does them? Professional journalists, people that are paid to put letters on a page that make the person that paid them happy. Your government wrote a manual for Guantanamo Bay. And Julian Assange published it. Horrible. Can you believe that? Can you believe the audacity of that? But James, it explained in there that they weren't treating people right. No shit. Guys, the entire purpose of Guantanamo Bay is to allow the storage of human meat indefinitely without trial. That's literally the entire purpose of it. And we are supposed to believe that out of that they went into this meat storage of violated human rights and said, hey, they're not treating people right in here. It'd be one thing if they were just storing them here indefinitely like human meat, but they're actually being mean to them in here. This guy hasn't gone to sleep in a long time. This is completely unacceptable. That's how WikiLeaks went on the map. all the truths around you right now. And this is what WikiLeaks leads with. Number 2, 570,000 pager messages sent within 24 hours on 9/11. WikiLeaks claims, "We hope that its entrance into the historical record will lead to a nuanced understanding of how this event led to death, opportunism, and war." Oh my God, now that we have 570,000 page texts sent within 24 hours between all the bureaucrats of 9/11, now we can figure out that, oh my God, 9/11 led us to go into a war that was false. Oh, God, we had no idea. we really thought those weapons of mass destruction were just really there. But thank God we have these messages now. 570,000 of them, and not once, not one single time does Julian ever raise suspicion that it was an inside job. I think Dukes of Hazzard is better at this than Julian Assange. I get more submersion in Dukes of Hazzard than I do in Julian Assange. Choctaw County is the county that neighbors Hazard County. Choctaw County has another officer, I forget his name. Very serious, stern officer. He plays by the book. The Duke boys, they know that this sheriff means business, the sheriff of Choctaw County. So they don't mess with him. I was more immersed in that because you saw a flavor where, well, finally there's at least one like competent law person here. Now I can really get into this show. I don't have that with Assange. Number 3, video of U.S. helicopter fire killing civilians in Iraq, 2010. This is Bradley Manning's video. It wasn't his video, but he's the one that released it. Because none of us had any idea that civilians were dying in Iraq. When we went in there and burnt down their oil fields, we went in there and completely obliterated their infrastructure, when we took out their plumbing, when we took out their communications, when we took out their sewer systems, we took out their schools, when we took out their government, none of us had any idea that there were civilian deaths. Who could have known? Who could have known that that would have possibly happened? That's not supposed to happen. But Assange told us, and so now we know. And boy, we sure are right now. Now we know. Now we know what's happening. And I hope you can see that none of these are significant. None of these are instrumental. And I'm not even done yet. Don't worry. Number 4, Iraq and Afghanistan war documents. The documents include information about civilian deaths, the hunt for al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden, and Iran's backing of militants in Iraq. So number 4 is basically the entire Osama bin Laden story is true. That's what WikiLeaks put out. Guys, Osama bin Laden, all that's legit. You know how we know? Because we're WikiLeaks. We're WikiLeaks. And we know that now. Why? Because someone risked their life to give us a document that said there were civilian deaths in Afghanistan. Can you believe it? Civilian deaths? Well, that's impossible because I've just found out there were civilian deaths in Iraq. What are we going around saying that war has civilian deaths now? What is this madness? It's not madness, friend. It is WikiLeaks, Wu-Tang, right? It turns into this clan. Turns into this whole thing. Completely legitimized Osama bin Laden. It was only this guy. Come on. This guy's bad. We're good. This guy's bad. Number 5, State Department cable leaks. What did the State Department cable leaks say? Saudi Arabia did 9/11. that Saudi Arabia has a vested interest in destroying the country that buys more oil than anyone else in the world. That Saudi Arabia wants to kill them. And despite the constrictions that America has placed on its own oil, despite the illusions of it being a fossil fuel, despite all of these things, Saudi Arabia knows that they will be back on top by destroying any oil country at all that exists, which is 9/11. And it pointed straight to Saudi. Straight to Saudi. Number 6, this is the biggie. Not the biggie. The DNC emails. So people think the DNC emails expose the fact that Bernie Sanders really had more support than Hillary Clinton. And no, Bernie Sanders said that. Like most of the campaign said that. And that was being released on the news too. So this doesn't even count. But you know why I put it on here? Because in the middle of this honeypot, this giant honeypot, was the most salacious Pizzagate gold you've ever seen. Because there were emails from John Podesta discussing his preference for cannibalism and the age of children that would be appropriate for a meal. And it opened the gate to one of the largest honey drops that we've ever seen as far as success goes. Alternative media honey drops, I'll say, because really the media is always a honey drop every day. James, you better grow some more hair, dude. Then you gotta buy a comb. Ha ha. Okay, thanks, man. You know, it never fucking occurred to me that I should grow more hair on the top of my head. Like, not once have I ever considered that maybe I should do that. No idea. Thank you. Podesta really got us into this realm of QAnon, Pizzagate, and I'm about to show you that. It really gets you into that. It really opens up the doorway into these kinds of things. And before we do that, I just want to say that the Bible of Scientology was also leaked by Wikileaks. The Bible of Scientology. And I think that really does showcase the bend and purpose of WikiLeaks. Because WikiLeaks, over their 7 largest releases, not once have they ever suggested that 9/11 was an inside job and that Osama bin Laden was not who we think he is. There's not even a connection there with his Russian history. WikiLeaks didn't notice some of the most basic fucking things, such as why did CNN, Newsweek, Time Magazine, and I'm sorry, there's one more. If you watch my special on Osama bin Laden, you'll know it. Why did these 4 ABC News, why did these 4 media outlets go meet Osama bin Laden in person in a cave, and not once did anybody who wanted to stop the world's most dangerous terrorist go in and get him then? And we are supposed to believe the exact same thing that we're supposed to believe about this. About this magic balcony. That this magic balcony has this demilitarized zone and no one can penetrate it. And that's where we are now. That's where it's at. Why do you think so many media outlets published him with a kitten? If the Podesta emails were real, if the DNC allegations that WikiLeaks exposed for the first time are real, why would any DNC media post any kind of image with him with a kitten? Why? Why would they say, no, this needs to be our story? The answer is white male. That's why. The answer is white mail. And white mail is important. It's more important than blackmail. We do more white mail than we do blackmail right now. We practice more of that. Why? Because people don't know about it yet. People don't know about it yet. They don't know it exists because it ruins the flavor. And this is what we do. We decide which stories and which truths we want from the media that we want to believe. RV wants to believe that every single thing is a hoax, that every shooting is a hoax. From start to finish, it's a hoax. And if anyone like me looks at the story and then just looks into it and comes out with the concept that, yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy probably took the fall for this, that I am not regurgitating the idea that everything's a hoax properly. And so the blackmail begins on me. And all you're really doing is just looking. This same thing happened with Assange. When I started to question Assange, got a lot of pushback from that. People don't want to see their leader questioned. People don't want to see, when I say leader, I'm talking about this figurehead. It's their inspiration. It's their fetish doll. And I don't mean that in a weird, guys, we need to learn what the word fetish means, because fetish doesn't even mean sexual. Fetish just means to have a strong attraction to something, good or bad. Sexual is just one tiny part of that, really. Most of the fetishes that we have are for things like our car keys. We have fetish for our phone, making sure we have our phone on us. We feel strange without it, or at least not knowing where it is sometimes. It's much more intrinsic. And we have a fetish for the white male that's being spread. We don't really have a choice. You're literally being dumped all this puke from AP and Reuters all the time. And you're just going to simply try and find solace in that puke. And you can't help it. You will naturally look for the puke that is the least offensive to you. And when you find that puke that's least offensive, the last thing you fucking need is some dude like me telling you this puke is really offensive. I know you think it's less offensive, but it's really offensive. And that's why it really doesn't even do a lot of good to even talk about these things. Like to really focus on these kinds of things, really. But that's really what's happening. And Pamela Anderson brought this home more. Now, the purpose of Assange, I think, was firstly to make Bradley Manning a hero. And the fact that his name is Manning is just such a perfect op. I think Bradley Manning is probably a Waynell Sexton. When I say probably, here's what I mean. I don't know. What I mean is I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is because you're not going to always know these things. And if you're looking for someone that's going to tell you what he knows all the time and just insists he knows this and knows this and knows this, there are people out there that will do that for you. I'm here to tell you there's things you're not going to know. You're going to have to sit in the mystery of it all. I'm going to throw this out. It's just a guess, total guess. I think Assange as a person is legit. I think that he's foolish. I think that he wanted to be a arbiter, a speaker of truth. I think due to his family ties, he was given this destiny to serve a purpose. And I think that destiny was unwound on him like a psyop. He started Wikileaks, started it in November 2006. And I'd like you to imagine that if you've watched me or anyone else, maybe you don't know this, but it takes a long time to build any kind of audience. It doesn't matter what you're pushing. It takes a long time. I started writing a column. A year later, I had maybe 7 people that were actively reading my column. It's just how long it took. Well, James, maybe you suck. It could be. But the good ones, it still takes this long. It does. It takes a long time. And 4 months later, that guy was on national news. 4 months after the founding of WikiLeaks. Look up the DNS records. 4 months later, that guy's on major news. And why is he on major news? He published a manual from the Army. And I'd like you to imagine that if I was to have published a manual from the Army, there's no fucking way I would have been put on national news. It was not playable. was not a playable asset. Julian Assange is. Julian Assange wants that more than anything else. Hollywood. What happens in Hollywood? You go to Hollywood and you change your name. Why do you change your name? Because you want them to know, I will fucking change my name to succeed here. I will Owen Benjamin you behind the casting couch. I will diddle you in the trailer. I will do whatever it takes to get this job. I will change my fucking name, my identity. I will do anything. And the world is full of people like that. And many of them are journalists. And those journalists will look for opportunity. I would look for that opportunity. It's like, I would love an opportunity to speak at this festival. I would love an opportunity to have an idea that I have heard by Jordan Peterson. How fucking cool would it be if this show had me? All that is the nature of survival. So you can't even say that that's like a special characteristic of a certain asset. It's not. It's just humanity. All of us want to be heard. All of us want to be witnessed. Many of us are willing to do whatever it fucking takes to be witnessed and to be heard. We will stab people in the back. We will lie. We will cheat. We will steal. This is all comes down to the posture of yourself, right? And how important that sanctity is, or is not in this case. Not even a moral judgment. I think it's beautiful because we're allowed to come here to this place and make these mistakes in front of each other. And you know what? When we make a mistake and someone else gets stepped on, it's good vitriol. That person now gets to learn what it's like to be stepped on. So it's like the perfect cake rising, where really all you do is vitriol is a yeast. And all you do is add that to the flour and the salt. And you just give it heat. You stand back and give it heat. And what happens? The yeast just freaking unleashes its pain and amnesia for what's happening in the oven to itself on each other. And what happens? It rises. All of it rises. It's a process. And you will never convince the baker that the process is evil. Doesn't matter how many yeast you assemble into an army and say, hey, fuck you, baker, fuck you. The baker will never see that. Never, ever will it happen. Assange, I believe, was probably an innocent. We will call him that. A naive innocent. And someone noticed that they could submit documents to him anonymously. Guys, this is just one theory. Have whatever theories you want. Or take it even more and say, well, James is clearly shook because he doesn't know that this is a hoax and it's this way. No, I'm telling you, I don't fucking know. I'm telling you, this is probably what happened. And just like you can pull up a database and say, yeah, James, it's time for another anti-shooting campaign. Can you take care of that? And I'm like, sure. You got a location? And they're like, whatever you think's best, man. Where do you think's the best stage? And you're like, you know, I kind of like Miami-Dade. Yeah, you know, Washington Schultz, that bitch. Israel, those guys fucking make Roscoe P. Coltrane look like that Choctaw sheriff, right? Why don't we do it there? All right, you got any candidates? Let me check. Interpol. I am looking for someone who's unstable. And there's like 12 matches in your area. You could do that right now with sex offenders. Right now, you could pull up a map and say, show me a map of sex offenders. And if you were like, hey, we need to find a patsy. Oh, no problem. Let's just find a sex offender. Holy shit. How are you going to find that? Dude, I've got an app. There's an app for it. There's an app that shows you all the sex offenders around. We'll just pick one of those. Well, do you have that for unstable schizophrenic people? Of course we do. We're the FBI. Do you realize how much taxes people give us? Holy shit. Oh, wait. They're throwing money at us right now. Of course we have that database. And basically, you're just looking for a way to distribute information. What is 4chan? I don't believe that our government had to start 4chan. I think 4chan was already out there, and the government's like, well, fuck, this place is great. Watch this. Well, what are you doing? Watch this. Watch this. Hillary will be arrested tomorrow morning at 10:30. Sign Q. Post. Watch this. Hey, Tom, can you throttle a post for me, please? Yeah, sure, man. Where's it at? I'll send you a link. All right, cool. You want that throttled in Germany too? Yeah, totally. No, we need to throttle it everywhere, but mostly America. Yeah. Demographic, anyone who could not figure out the season 1, episode 13, Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, let's say anyone below that threshold. Let's send it out. All right, go. And what happened? 2-3 weeks later? What happened? The entire world knows about this post on 4chan. It was anonymous. It was anonymous. And you start to realize that these are the same. Let's say this slowly so everybody can get it. Wikileaks was a distribution house for anonymous information in which there was no ability to trace motivations or omissions from its sources. QAnon was an anonymous source distributing salacious information with no ability for us to trace its motivation or sources. Can you guys see how this is the same? What is WikiLeaks? We get anonymous sources. People send us stuff anonymously, and we publish it. And no, we can't give away our sources. You kidding? We have journalistic integrity. We're not giving away our sources. And the reason why is because they're anonymous. We don't even know our sources. So Julian Assange is a hero for what? For publishing anonymous information. Julian Assange is a hero for publishing anonymous information. That means no discernible information. That means no backup information. That means no follow-up information. That means no motivational checks. That means no background checks. That means you have absolutely zero ability to see what was omitted. And what was omitted? Osama bin Laden, 9/11. All of the anomalies. Even the air traffic control drill wasn't listed in WikiLeaks. And they had 580,000 messages. Maybe, I can't remember the exact number, but it was up there, right? Look again, please. WikiLeaks, distribution house for anonymous information. QAnon, an anonymous distribution house. Same thing. Same thing. QAnon is for the season 1, episode 13 people that do see the plot. Julian Assange is for the episode 13, season 1 people that can't see the plot of the fake pandemic. They're both saturating the media with the exact same thing. They're both saying the exact same thing. And the key to understanding Julian Assange requires you to do some subtractional logic. Subtractional logic meaning you would need to look at what WikiLeaks distributed and then notice what they did not distribute. You would need to notice what they did not distribute. Do you think if WikiLeaks is legit, do you think that John Podesta maybe would be under investigation? Do you think Hillary Clinton would be under investigation? If so, why are they not under investigation? Why? If all that's true and all that's damaging, and this is the most important leaker of our time, why is someone that much implicated in these things not under investigation? And the answer is the same reason why Tom Wopat and John Schneider are not in prison right now for moonshine. No one's convicting them. There hasn't been a single internal affairs investigation into Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, QQQ. Not once. Why? Could it be that the reason why Roscoe P. Coltrane has never been investigated from internal affairs is the exact same reason why John Podesta hasn't been investigated for child trafficking, pornography, assault, cannibalism, murder, deceit, espionage? Could it be that the reason why neither of these people are being convicted is for exactly the same? And of course it could be, because that's how our world works. But if you've been trying to feel more comfortable, I'm not helping you, am I? I'm making your life very difficult by explaining to you that this puke is actually just as offensive as all the other puke. What does every media outlet say about Wikileaks? Wikileaks has never had to retract a single story as fake news. They have won every court case, this Sean Bean. They have won every court case that challenges their information. Every single one. No mainstream network media can say the same. And it's reminding people that the media is legit. It's giving the illusion that the media is legit. And it's doing that by saying the system is corrupt. That's how you try and legitimize it. How do you legitimize it? You get Boss Hogg to come out and say, that Roscoe P. Coltrane, he's corrupt, and we're going to get him. I'm going to run a campaign right now. We're going to clean up the streets of Hazard, and Roscoe P. Coltrane is going to be rebuked. He's going to go to sensitivity training. He does have a speech impediment. We're going to help him with that, but we're going to fix this county. We're going to do it. Perfect photo. As if this police officer was just told, hey man, can you get out of the way so we can take a picture? It's like, of course. What of course? All these men with their hands on him, still somehow able to hold that book. He has the vice grip of a kitten. I'm looking for something else. Hang on. So, should you reject Assange? Probably not. Probably not, because it's giving you information. It's just not the information you were hoping it would be at the beginning. It could be a coincidence. I totally get it, but these people love their symbology. And when he was arrested, it was on 411. Of course, 411 is this traditional calling for information. And Bradley Manning, that's what I was going to tell you about. Bradley Manning. What a fascinating storyline that is. Bradley Manning. Just fascinating. I'm going to look something up, which means I'm going to have to look down. And so you guys are going to go, James doesn't have hair on the top of his head. Oh my God, I should put this in the chat right now. Holy shit, this is my attention span. I'm going to talk about James's hair right now. So there you go. I know that. I know. It's shown me... It shows me how comfortable and how weak my field is. That if you had hair than you didn't, you really have to work towards trying to be more confident, because you hear stupid shit like that, like that guy doesn't have hair on top of his head. Oh my God, I should write that down. That when you hear that like all the time, it really makes you like kind of like, wow, I need to kind of really buck up my confidence. I've been getting false confidence from hair covering this portion of my head the entire time. Like the entire time I've been living off this false crutch that I should be confident in myself. Why? Well, because I have hair right here. So I should be totally confident with myself because of that. And now I don't. Now I'm suddenly not confident. It's giving you this perfect exercise to know where your field is burning or where it doesn't burn. And it's, you know, you have good days and bad days and shit like that. And I've actually noticed that being attractive is kind of a, could actually kind of be just as much of a curse as it could be an advantage, to be honest. You just don't know. You really don't know what's going to end up doing with that, because a lot of people that do have hair on their heads, or are considered like reasonably generically attractive, are constantly put on a pedestal. And because of that, the second you catch them maybe being dishonest or maybe not having the right posture about something, you're not even able to communicate that to them, because they've had this false hope the whole time where it's like, James, I didn't steal your money. I've got hair right here. What are you talking about? I didn't fucking run that. Officer, I didn't run that red light. Look, I've got hair right here. What, are you fucking nuts? Maybe you didn't see me? Is that it? You didn't see that I had hair here? It's a beautiful exercise. Oh, thank you, Debbie. I think you're odd too, actually, Debbie. It probably sounds weird to some of y'all, especially because we're all in dojo together. But I find a lot of y'all attractive. Just like pure, raw, honest witness, man. It fucking turns me on. That's why. Shit turns me on. No, you can't be turned on by that. You have to be turned on by this. You have to be turned on by Assange, because Pamela Anderson was there and she's got like a kitten, and oh my god, he's so hot because he's got hair on his head. Benedict Cumberbatch, will you play me correctly? Where is these? I just want to get the dates right with the Bradley Manning thing. This guy, just holy shit. Or girl. Brett Manning, his name's Manning. Here it is. On April 4th, Chelsea Manning was released from solitary confinement. 2 hours later, WikiLeaks tweets that Julian Assange's arrest is imminent. Keep in mind that one of Assange's, the Big Seven, was Chelsea Manning. Julian spent 7 years locked inside the Ecuadorian embassy while striking up a romance with Pamela Anderson for the cameras. Those high-profile media interviews to speeches. Trying to get to the... Meanwhile, Bradley Manning, after having been tortured in solitary confinement, emerges. Think about it. The government says, you released that video that everyone had that was being passed around on TikTok, and you released it to Julian Assange, and he published it. So we're going to torture you in solitary confinement. And so they did. They took Bradley Manning, and they tortured him in solitary confinement, right? Because confinement is not torture. It's only when you put them in solitary confinement and then torture them that it's torture. Otherwise, it's not torture. And what happens right after? Well, hey, we're done torturing you? He's like, yeah? You're done torturing? He's like, yeah, we're done torturing you. He's like, oh, well, thank God. No, are you going to, like, kill me? Is that what you mean? Wait a minute. Do you mean just, like, kill me now? He's like, no. We're going to give you a sex change. We're going to pay for it. We're going to put you on the cover of Vogue magazine. And we're going to launch you a political career starting in August. 4 months after you were tortured. And that's exactly what happened. It's like exactly what happened. And keep in mind, the same media, the exact same media that told you, well, he's across the line. That's clearly not American soil. We can't get to him there over that balcony. Oh my gosh, that balcony. What is that, like 4 feet off the ground? We can't penetrate that. What are we, SEALs? Are you kidding? What are we, the most sophisticated military in the world? We can't do that. The same government that's telling you, yeah, we did 4 interviews with Osama bin Laden, but since the media and the government have nothing to do with each other, like nothing at all, there's no way we could get Osama bin Laden. Meanwhile, 2 months after Chelsea Manning's tortured, somebody arranges for the cover of Vogue magazine. And this is an interrogation technique. This is an interrogation technique. You know what Assange wants, so you can whitemail him into releasing this information, and you know he doesn't have to be an actor because he's going to solidly believe in his role. You don't have to go full RV, as Jaron would say. You don't have to go full retard on some of this shit. You can just look and say, well, what would be easier? Wouldn't it be easier if there was just someone out there who just really wanted attention and you could just release him information and you notice when he released information, he just stood by it and published it and thought he was awesome for it? And that now we could just keep fucking with him and fucking with him and just use him as a prop inside this game? And it could be possible that the whole smearing of feces was actually true. Why? Because the dude's being gaslit. The dude's being gaslit on the national stage. Pamela Anderson is coming over, purring for him. That's a lot of fame. It points a lot of big-ass heavy cannon, and that's what makes you go, I'll change my fucking name if you guys let me be on your show. I'll do it. And so what is the deal they have with Chelsea Manning? They're torturing him. They're interrogating him. If that's the case, I think probably what it is that they had a psych eval done on him, because that's what the Army does. They had a psych eval done on him. And in the psych eval, Chelsea Manning told you that he wants to be a woman or thinks of himself as a woman. And so what did they do? They utilized that. And they're like, wait, we have another operative here. We have Chelsea Manning. And my guess is, this is a guess. You could totally say James just doesn't get it. That's fine. I just want you to know how I think it works, because I don't think there's ever like, everyone who's a Republican believes this way. That's so bullshit. It's just like, that would be like arguing that every Crip like has a favorite car and they all are the same and they would kill each other if it was different. No, that's not how it fucking works. This is survival, which means you're going to line with people not because you believe with them. You're going to line with them because you're a privateer. You're a cucketeer, and you're going to pick whatever country that you think is going to get you in the least amount of trouble, and that's what parties are. So when you start to look inside these parties, I'd like you to picture that Assange is definitely bent on going after Democrats. And so you could argue that the gang between Crips and Bloods, the one that started that psyop, is probably a Blood. Right? Because Assange is going after Crips. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying if you're exercising your thought, you know before you do this exercise, you're never going to have an answer. And two, that's okay. And so you can start to think about, since most of these ops are anti-democrat, it could be that Assange is more of a blood psyop, on the blood side, on the what we call Republican side. And that it would fit in with the exact same framework as Pizzagate, as Epstein. That these are all exactly the same thing. This is the term that I coined. Not trying to show off, I'm just saying that it fits. Reality terrorism. This is reality terrorism. Many people say, James, you're inventing words. And I say, I've never invented a word. I've just told you the definition. And I'm inventing this word, reality terrorism. It is a technique for keeping focus. It pulls focus in, and it does that because we've already squeezed the Dukes of Hazzard for all the salaciousness we can, and it takes more now. It takes more salaciousness. We have to have the two actors that are playing Spider-Man and Spider-Girl or whatever the fuck, they have to be in love outside the movie to make people watch the movie. And that shit has been here since day one. Not only has that shit been here, but Hollywood's been so irrelevant that we are actually having now real life movies starring Amber Heard and Johnny Depp play out in court. And we're buying it. And it's so funny that no one notices, how come they decided to broadcast this trial? And why was Amber Heard and Johnny Depp both like, I'm on board, this sounds great? That why would both of them think, especially after hearing some of the things that people have said they saw on that court stuff, why would either side both in unison agree, yeah, we should broadcast this thing? But James, Johnny Depp's a nice guy, and he was really, really treated unfairly, so I don't like this. And it's like, yeah, and you know what? The people that are treated unfairly, no one covers it on TV. They don't cover that on TV. This is called whitemailing, what you see. And it's beautiful because it works. And it works because we're surrounded by people that accept this as good enough. I think it's impossible that you could go from being tortured, waterboarded, to the cover of Vogue magazine in 2 months without there being some sort of a deal. And I think it's naive as fuck to think that Julian Assange knows that 9/11 is an inside job and is actually wanting to tell you that. He just hasn't had anyone submit any kind of evidence to him yet. That he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs with his cat going, any minute now, someone's going to send in something about 9/11. But it just doesn't come in. And that I would even imagine even further that what's so beautiful about Wikileaks is that everybody that submits something to Wikileaks goes on a list. And that list, they know exactly whose IP submitted that information. They know exactly where it came from. And that is not only a honeypot, it's also a wasp trap, isn't it? And it's one of the most perfect Ruth Goldberg devices you've ever seen. Because it spits out this media on one side, and on the other side it attracts people who might be into the idea of secreting information that actually might be sensitive, that actually might be real. And that's what's happening here. But James, look at his hair. It's perfect. Come on, James. He's got perfect hair. James, you're just jealous, James. That's what this is. You're just jealous. Benedict Cumberbatch would never play you, James. Never happen. Because you're not a real truther. No, real truthers have hair. That's totally how it works. And that's the scene, guys. Not only is that the scene, but if you take this stuff out on the street, this Julian Assange thing that I'm telling you, and you take it out on the street, you will get obliterated for that. People will not like you. They don't want to hear that. I'm not even saying you should say it. I don't need you to champion this. I don't need you to champion this because I think that to champion this would be to imply that the real bad guy here is the media secreting this. I am beyond that point. I am mad at the reader who accepts this as viable drama. I think the problem lies with the reader who buys into this stuff and says, oh, poor Bradley Manning was tortured and now he's Bradley Womaning. But he's on Vogue, so everything's okay. Hey, Frank, there's justice in the world. No, there's not. I don't have any hair. What the fuck are you saying? All of us are doing this to try and feel comfortable. We're buying into the stories that we need to buy into because it helps us. And you know what? We need help. We should be helped. But I can't live in a world anymore where it's the baddies that are doing things and all the innocent people are the ones that are being duped. I can't do that because the ones that are being duped always profit from it. Well, how do they profit from it, James? Because they get to submit all of their problems onto something else. They get to put their child in a yellow shipping container that morning and feel nothing. Because by 10 a.m. they're on Twitter talking about child trafficking that's happening underground because Podesta had this email in there about sausage and Wikileaks published it, so it has to be true. I'm mad at those people now. Like if I had to be mad at someone, I'm more mad at those people. And I realize that sounds very betraying. But it's because I've never bought into the idea that all of us who were duped are automatically in a magic gang where we're on the same side. And I think that's really the being duped breeds this sort of sorority fraternity kind of atmosphere where you think that you now fit in with everyone else because they've been duped too. And the truth is that most of the daggers that I found in my back have not actually come from media or government, although YouTube is up there for sure. It's actually come from other truthers that have been upset with me sharing information about something that's just real. And they're not upset because I'm lying. They're not upset I'm wrong. They're upset because I'm voicing something that doesn't feel good to them. And that is happening all over because that's how humanity works. It's how this whole thing happens. Exactly. Yeah. Frank, what do you think this is too over the top? Well, let me see what you wrote. Like a pizza with walnuts. Oh, walnut sauce. Frank, what's walnut sauce? It's code, man. It's code for child gonads. Oh my God, where'd you get that? 4chan. Dude, that's brilliant. Yeah, man, go for it. Let's see what happens. And when you say that maybe this is fake, instantly out of the woodwork, a million people come out and say, James says every single thing that happens bad to a child is fake. This is why you can't trust people that don't have fucking hair within this region of their fucking skull. I'm freaking out right now. I need to go find RV. Because the simplex mind, the 2-bit mind, only has the binary. Crypt blood, crypt blood, crypt blood, right? So you're not able to see that white male is something that actually works. Well, why would you distribute good information about your guy if he was a bad guy? It's like, because he's controlled. Because he's a patsy. Just like every other actor in Hollywood. Anyone who's on a show in Hollywood is coming and they're saying, I will change my name. And they do. They will say, I will say whatever you write on the sheet of paper. 2. 3, I will pretend to believe it on camera so you can document it. 3. The world is full of actors. Who are the most highly paid, most celebrated jobs we have in this world are actors. Actors. Think about it. Where does all the fame go? It goes to the actors. The people that can fucking lie to people the most, which tells you that collectively we as a people value the ones that will lie to us the most. Yeah. It's a deep truth, isn't it? It is. And we just can't see this yet, even though it's simple. Sorry, I'm trying to get there. Just how simple this is. Wikileaks is a distribution house for anonymous information. QAnon is an anonymous source distributing information. And as long as we accept food from an anonymous source, we will always, always run the risk of being poisoned. Every single time. Every time. Even if they have hair. Even if they have a kitten. Even if they have hair. Even if they have Baywatch actresses telling you that it's true. Every time. If you're accepting information from an anonymous source, you are telling them, I am your fucking cuck. And even if the information really helps your side, you are still a fucking cuck. And you don't want truth. You want your side to win. JT talks about this in Managing Your Prawn Economy. If it's going to be profitable for you, call them out. If it's going to be expensive, don't. Exactly. That's why you should only have 40%. Some of these truthers will come in and go, well, we should go down there and kick some ass and totally just like fucking take over. So, oh, you want to do that? Oh, you're a wimp? Is that what it is? Is your wimp? And they're not going either. And why? Because they're putting you to the challenges. Well, you will only believe something if you're willing to sacrifice literally every single thing in your life for it. And I'm telling you, no. Because what if you believe in sanctity? If you believe in sanctity, then you're willing to sacrifice 40% of your life force for something that you believe strongly in. Why? Because 60% is you. I am. And if you believe in you, if you keep your ego fueled, when you're watching season 1, episode 13, what was it called? Tides Double something. When you're watching season 1, episode 13 of Dukes of Hazzard, you have enough calories to go, damn, they just faked a pandemic on the Dukes of Hazzard. That's fucking brilliant. Wonder if anyone would try that, or if anyone might see this and actually like say, damn, that was easy. Wonder what Article 1, Section 9 says. Oh, the writ of habeas corpus shall be suspended in all cases where public safety is at risk. Holy fuck. What just happened? I just grew hair on my head from that. Double sting, thank you. Yeah, double sting, double jab. There you go. There you go. James, I love the part of the stream where James discovered that RV hadn't even listened to the dispatch call. Pure hilarity. I still can't believe that people are walking around like And knowing that, and no one thinks that they should kind of call RV out on that. How the fuck can you get around telling people that you're an expert on every single school shooting and you haven't listened to the dispatch? That is seriously fucking insane. RV probably has hair on his head. And so he's been able to just say, I'm fucking right all the time. I got fucking hair on my head. I saw it in the chat. Jeez, these guys doubt me. I clearly have hair on my head. I got a mullet, bitch. I know exactly what I'm doing. Exactly. All right. We've been running long. I will let you guys go. Actually, I'm going to do a quick scroll through here on the see if there's any questions or comments. James, I could send you little hairs I have squeezed out of my chin now. Thank you, Sopriano. The pubicity of your offering is much curled. I appreciate that. Court cases, biggest joke of all. Actually, I agree. Thinking that court is actually legit is a tough one, guys. We'll have to cover that more sometime. Moth went camping. We're glad she made it back. Glad she didn't dive in the fire. She's her own fire, so she's probably immune from that. I did 3 interviews yesterday. It was pretty epic. Looking forward to showing those. Wish I would have done better, but I had a really fucked up thing happen to me and just trying to, do my best this week. So, guys, there's a dojo tonight at 7, and I don't think I can make it. I'm going to see if I can switch things around, but I don't think I'm going to make it. However, the wonderfully talented Gnome is going to mod, and he's a great mod. He's probably a better mod than I am. And he's got fucking hair on his head, I think. I haven't seen the back of Gnome's head. He has hair on his head, and he doesn't act like it. Like, he acts like he's a dude that doesn't have hair on his head. So I think you'll really enjoy that. I think you should check it out. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you. That was Rockfin. Let me just see if there's any. I said that my family wants people to believe profitable and the government is making believe. Yeah, your family's gonna freak out for no reason. If you're telling your family this stuff and they don't already know it, they're just gonna freak out. And all they're gonna do is make you suffer for it. They're gonna. You were trying to change their world bubble, and that's not your job being in their family. It's not. You can make it expensive for them, but your job is not to change their mind. But you can inject shame if you want. You can say, Dad, I think it's fucking insulting. You don't have to use the word fucking. Dad, I think it's insulting that you are watching the news right now and you are making all of us pretend that all of this is legit and real. It doesn't even have a disclaimer on it saying it's real. I mean, you could try that. I'm not saying it'll work. Don't take advice from me. My family doesn't even talk to me, so I wouldn't even. I would not take advice from me from that. They do talk to me, but it's strained. It's strained ever since I lost my hair. They've been like, we can't trust this guy anymore. He doesn't have hair. There's no way we can trust him. All right, guys. I don't see much here. I mean, there's stuff here, but you guys are more talking to each other, which is totally cool. We'll see you guys next time. If I ever get my hands on that Cumberbatch kid, I'm going to gag him with my dentures. Yeah, he's what interviews, James? I did a Crow 777 interview. I did Grammarica. And me and Full Metal Alchemist did another crypto show, Paco Crypto show yesterday on Dojo Earth Radio. You should check out that episode. It was episode number 4. We were trying to do a weekly show on that, if anyone's curious. It's not just about crypto, it's about government too. So you can check that out too. And we'll see you guys soon. I'm looking forward to the next episode too. I think it might be the Blue Kachina. I can't wait to drop that on. That's some good stuff too. So thanks for being here. Have a great day. Check out that Dukes of Hazzard episode if you're looking for something to watch. It's very, very deep, satisfying. And till then.